Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that takes a look at players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Where shall we start today? Karim Benzema? It's where we start practically every day because Karim Benzema, forever linked with Arsenal. I'm trying to do a Karim Benzema free day, but I'm just finding it very difficult at the moment because all the rumours seem to centre around one guy at the moment. Now, in an interview in Spain, done for Radio Cope, Santi Endorses, Arsenal star player, of course, was asked about Benzema because these rumours about Karim Benzema, which are obviously massive over here in England, are also massive over there in Spain. They're there flying around every single day over there in Spain. So when they got an interview with Santi Endorses, of course, first about the possibility of Benzema going to Arsenal. Santi Endorses' quotes were these. He said, Benzema is a great player. Everyone would like to have him on their team. Very diplomatic. But the coach already has a squad and probably will not find another forward. Now, you read into that what you want. I think Santi Endorses obviously there is being very, very diplomatic. He doesn't want to come out and say, yeah, of course we want Karim Benzema. He's acknowledging and endorsing and saying that, listen, he's a fantastic player. You know, everybody would like to have him in his team. Of course, we'd love to have him in his team. Everybody would. But I think what he's trying to do is play it down because, you know, you don't want to be talking. At the end of the day, Karim Benzema is at another club. He's at Real Madrid. He's playing for Real Madrid. The manager's come out and said, we don't want to sell him. He's come out and said he's not really wishing to go. So Santi, whilst endorsing him, is playing it down, understandably so. But then you hear a lot of other things, a lot of other reports over in Spain saying that, you know, there was a one report where there's a top Spanish journalist who's like very, very good on the transfers, and he said that, listen, he knows for a fact that Arsenal have set aside money to buy Benzema and are just literally waiting on Madrid's decision on whether or not they will sell Benzema or not. We're also hearing rumours today that Manchester United, which we've sort of known about before, but Manchester United are also desperate for a striker. Remember, they sold Robbie van Persie now. So effectively, they're kind of in a similar position to us where effectively it's just Wayne Rooney as an out-and-out striker. They've got Depay and that, but these guys are not out-and-out strikers. So again, they're in the hunt and they're talking about the possibility of also moving for Benzema should he become available. And then the other intriguing thing is that Benzema possibly going to miss the start of the season anyway because he's got a thigh injury, and Madrid announced yesterday that could keep him out until the start of the La Liga season. He may miss that start of the season. So it's all intriguing stuff, you know. Is it the injury as serious as they're all making out? You know, it's just, there's been nothing definitive. I feel Madrid have come out, sorted. What is, as I said, is not just in the UK. This rumour is flying around in Spain as well. Now, listen, this doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Madrid, I personally feel that Madrid is thinking to themselves, unless we can find anybody better, he's not going to go anywhere because they got, you know, they're up against Barcelona. They can't, you know, have like a weak forward line. So I think that's how Madrid are looking at it, but they would let him go if they could find that other alternative. But is that other alternative out there? With Arsenal, they definitely want Benzema. If Benzema's available. I remember speaking to Ivan Gazidis, and I remember even Ivan Gazidis when he spoke to everybody at that forum, and one of the things that he said, which was very interesting, and he reiterated it a couple of times with Arsenal and how they buy players, and he said that they won't just go out there and buy a player for the sake of it. They look at it very long term. So if they're looking at their squad and they're saying to themselves, right, listen, we've got some really good players. We want to improve it in a certain area. And the guy to improve that and really take it to the next level is Karim Benzema. And you know what? We're not going to go out and just buy a full on or whatever. If we can't get that guy, then we'll just, you know, we'll either wait on that striker until he does become available, or we just won't buy him at all. But we're not just going to bring in a player just to fill a hole when we've got a target that we really want, and that's who we want. And at the moment, it's proving difficult to get. And that was how he sort of explained to me last season why they didn't buy a centre back at the time, because he was sort of explaining to me that there were centre backs around, but none of them. They just felt that if they bought, they would come in, but it wasn't really what they wanted. It's just that they've got it almost like a cover, and really and truly, all they're going to do, they're never really going to establish themselves properly in the team because it's not really what they want. So it's interesting. It's interesting, this whole Benzema thing. It rolls on. I'm trying to do a Benzema free day, but at the moment, I just cannot do a Benzema free day because it's just everything and all over Arsenal every single day. The other interesting one today is about Alexander Lacazette. Now, of course, another player that was linked very, very heavily with Arsenal. He's been linked with Liverpool. He's been linked with everybody, but very heavily with Arsenal. Obviously, there's always the French connection there. But very interestingly today, we're hearing that the Lyon boss, Hubert Fournier, is not happy with Lacazette at the moment. This is what is being reported by the French publication L'Equipe, who they're like the main French publication over there in France for football. And L'Equipe are saying that Fournier is not happy with the attitude of Lacazette, and it seems like Lacazette's head's in another place. Now, it must be very difficult for Lacazette. He knows that lots and lots of, including top clubs like Arsenal, Liverpool, are interested in signing him. They'll pay him way more money than what he's on at the moment. He must be sitting there every day pondering to himself, what shall I do? Shall I stay? Do I seize my opportunity now? Because it must be really difficult for a footballer, you know? I mean, listen, he wants to get into that France squad for next season, so it probably makes sense when you think about it for him to stay. He's going to be the #1 guy at Lyon. If he can make another great season, another great impression, he could get into that French team, and then he can get a massive money move still next season. However, what if he has a poor season? What if he, or an average season even? What if he scores like 13 goals next season? You know, that valuation on him is going to drop. No one's really going to be chasing him. There's going to be some other players that would have come up and scored and had a great season. There'll be other players who have a successful Euros, and he'll move way down the pecking order, and he may have missed out on a big deal. So he must be pondering these things. Now, the question is, if Lacazette is unhappy, do Arsenal move for him? Do Arsenal move in and try to sign Lacazette as an alternative to Benzema, who's proving very, very difficult at the moment to get out? I mean, guys, let me know what you think. Should Arsenal try and get Lacazette if Lacazette and the reports coming out from L'Equipe are true and he's unhappy and he's available? We know that Liverpool are hovering. We've been told that Liverpool are willing to bid £21 million for him. I don't know. I think if this is the case, if Benzema is proven very difficult to get, Lacazette may be a good alternative. I've said before, he's not world class. He's an emerging player who could become world class. We don't know. I personally don't know enough about what everybody else has seen of him. I've seen some French games, what I've watched on BT Sport and what she's played in, and he's looked very good. But I haven't seen him week in, week out. But I also remember that speaking to Lyon fans when they came over to play us in the Emirates Cup, and last year when I was in France, speaking to Lyon fans over there, they love him and they really do think he's the real deal. If he's unhappy, it may be a good option for Arsenal to move for, but again, we're going to have to wait and see. And still intriguing is the fact that, and this is why with Arsene Wenger, we love the guy. Well, most of us, right? Some don't. But listen, we love the guy at Arsenal. As fact all the time. Now, Arsene Wenger came out, I think it was on the 15th of July, and he said about Chuba Akpom. That was after the game. He scored a hat-trick over there in Singapore. He was asked about Akpom. He said, listen, this season, Akpom is not going out on loan. Remember what I said? This is his quote. He said, I will not loan Chuba Akpom. And where is Chuba Akpom now? Out on loan. Yes, officially done yesterday. He's joined Hull City, along with Isaac Hayden, who's gone there just before. So that's 2 Arsenal players there on loan. And that's good in a way, because they'll be both there as mates. They'll be able to chat to each other, bounce off each other, encourage each other. Chuba Akpom has gone out in loan. But with Akpom going out on loan, that again leaves another gap with strikers, because if there's injuries, you could have had Akpom as an option to come in and play as a striker. But with Akpom going out on loan, effectively now it's only Giroud as your main striker, and you can play Theo Walcott there. All the other guys there, you're just filling in. All right, Welbeck as well, I suppose. You've got players that can play in that position, but there is no, out-and-out striker. The only really one is Giroud, and now Chuba Akpom's gone on loan. Does this suggest that Arsene Wenger's making way because he wants to definitely bring in a striker? I mean, it's a bold thing to do, because there's no guarantees on getting a player like Benzema. So we could end up short of a striker, but Chuba Akpom has gone out on loan. And again, as I said, that just proves you cannot believe everything Arsene Wenger says. So when he says, I'm not signing Benzema, don't believe it until September the 1st. Another Arsenal player has gone out on loan is John Torrell. Of course, Torrell, youth player, originally came from Barcelona. Big prospect, this guy. Came with Bellerin and that hot prospect. They're trying to get him more game time at Arsenal, and I think that's a good loan move for John Torrell. Hopefully he can go there and shine. So another one of Arsenal's sort of top young players out there on loan, along with Dan Crowley's gone out on loan, I think, to Barnsley, and now Chuba Akpom, Isaac Hayden. So a lot of them hopefully will go out there and get some really good experience this season, and playing at very good championship clubs that will give them a lot of experience. So good luck to all of those guys. And finally, Joel Campbell, his loan move, or should I say permanent move, it wasn't a loan move, permanent move to Palermo has fallen through. That has collapsed. Arsenal, they want at least £7 million for him. I think Palermo were offering 3.5 million, and then they were looking to maybe little add-ons here and there. They brought in an agent called Gianluca Farini to negotiate on behalf of Palermo, and he came out and said, in a quote, he said, Arsenal are a very, very difficult club to deal with, and the deal is off. So, listen, Arsenal we want proper money for this guy. Joel Campbell, remember, last season was one of the stars of the World Cup. Just because it hasn't worked out for him at Arsenal, he can go to a club and he can become a star, I think. So you want proper money for him. 3.5 million, you're having a laugh. When I think about it, and you look at some of the money being sploshed around for players that haven't even been established, like, look at this guy, Jordan Rhodes, for instance, who plays for Blackburn. Every time he's spoken about, he's a championship player. Don't get me wrong, prospect, up and coming. But every time he gets spoken about, they talk about 15 million and things like that. Joel Campbell, right, has played in Champions Arsenal, right, very limited. Costa Rica in the World Cup was one of the stars of the World Cup. And you want to buy him for 3.5 million. And you say we're being difficult when we say we want at least 7. Listen, mate, you're having a laugh. You're not getting in for that. No way. Right, listen, let's get into a couple of your comments. Ukilab, he says, Rafa Benitez says, I think because he's simply not in charge of transfers, Florentino Perez has the final word. And that is absolutely true. At Madrid, he makes a great point, because I was saying that, notice how Benitez kept saying, I think, all the time, that he's not definitely put into bed. And that's true. It doesn't come down to him at Madrid. If Perez says we're selling Benzema, then Benzema goes. If Perez says we're keeping him, they're keeping him. It's as simple as that. Got nothing to do with Benitez might be able to have a little bit of input, but at the end of the day, it's down to Florentino Perez. Carl Buffon says, what does it take to be a world-class striker? Well, in my view, I always say you've got to have done it in your league. You've got to be a top player in your league. You've got to be considered a top player in Europe, playing in the Champions League. And I also feel that you should have at least done it or made a major mark for your national team as well to become a world-class, or to be considered a world-class player. And also, I believe that a world-class player is a player that can change a game on his own. So a player that in a really, really tight game can consistently come up with moments of brilliance that changes the game and wins you a game and that. So for me, all those ingredients make a world-class player. Albert, we don't want or need Higuain. Hope he does not happen. And it's been really interesting how many people have really turned on Higuain, as I said, since his performances, in the Copa America. He's still a good player in my book. Nick Shelsey says, I have a feeling we're going to sign Draxler. Not sure why you've got that feeling, but I wouldn't say no to Julian Draxler. It converted into a striker, possibly like how they was talking about doing it before. If it's to sign him into the midfield, we don't need him. We've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, we've got all these guys. So Samuel Oxley says, imagine if Henry was in his prime and up front for Arsenal this season. Wow. I'll tell you what, I just got to say, I was completely starstruck last night. I got to interview Thierry Henry. That interview is going to be out towards the end of the week. Wow, I was starstruck, honestly, right? I went in there, started doing the interview. I was like, my God, this is Thierry Henry, the king. And the thing that blew me away is that Thierry Henry said to me, and you'll see it in the interview, he said, oh, you're that guy who does that. I watch Arsenal Fan TV. That's what Thierry Henry said. He goes, I watch Arsenal Fan TV. I love to watch what the fans are saying. He goes, sometimes they say good things and bad things, but I love to, I'm not going to reveal too much, but make sure you watch that interview. Such a nice guy. He was doing a Q&A for the Sun, the launch of their new Dream Team Fantasy League football. It was him and Teddy Sheringham. I must say, both of them, him and Teddy Sheringham. I've been to quite a lot of Q&As in my time. I'd have to say that's the best Q&A I've ever been to. I mean, Ian Wright's one the other day as well at Arsenal. That was brilliant as well. But for one, look, Thierry Henry is so good. He answered every question, everyone, even the one when they asked him about the Irish thing when he handled the ball and that. He answered every question. He's so smooth, so good. And then like Teddy Sheringham was there. All right, we know he's Spurs, but he was very funny as well, very entertaining. And I've got to say, well done to the Sun and those guys yesterday. That was a fantastic night. And look out for that interview coming later on in the week. But yeah, Thierry Henry in this current Arsenal team, wow. And, team is what we need to remember. And something that Thierry Henry kept going on about last night. It's important to have a good team. And I think at the moment, that's what we've got. We've got a good team, but I, like a lot of other Arsenal fans, do think add that final ingredient of a top-class striker. And honestly, I do think we got what it takes to go all the way. Listen, it involves a lot of things. It involves a lot of luck with injuries. It involves many things, but I just feel we've got a very, very good team that could be very consistent this season, but we're just slightly off at the moment. If we could add that striker, that will send fear into a lot of teams in the Premier League. Thanks for watching Transfer Daily. We will be back tomorrow. We've got some great previews coming up as well this season. Previewing that big game against West Ham, the start of the season. This is when it gets serious now. Really, really looking forward to Sunday when the season kicks off. Thanks for watching Transfer Daily.